Hello and welcome. We are at IP College in Delhi looking at a whole host of issues, including trying to find out what are India's youth, what are India's students up to besides those who are doing traditional courses, and what if they hadn't chosen those streams. Well, with me, Sachi now, someone who just would have made it to Everest had an incident not taken place earlier, and who knows, you just might make it to Everest one day. Now, you're quite a climber, in fact, hoping to make it to a peak in Europe this summer. Tell us a bit more about it.
Yeah, well, I started this when I was 7, and due to the inclement weather this time in 2013, so we had to turn back, and we had already lost 7 people from my
Everest,
climbing team. So we were we were supposed to come back down, and the lack of oxygen supplements there. So let's see, I definitely have plan of climbing Everest again in 2016.
That's if it's still open by then, given the whole debate around climbing Everest. But we'll, of course, I'm sure there are enough peaks to climb. But how did you get into climbing?
When I was 7, I used to go with my dad climbing and doing snow skiing. I think that time my dad realized she could actually do well in all this, and then the love for the mountains actually it grew and it grew. I mean, so I was always lost, whenever I was there and looking at the sunrise, the early morning.
That's all you thought about. But tell me one thing, they always say that it's not easy in a country like India to get support. It's not easy to get sponsorships. It's not easy to get the buzz around it. You know, at the end of the day, it's not cricket.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely agree with this thing, because even gathering sponsorship for my expedition, 20 lakh, it is rightly said that climbing Everest is actually a hubris. So 20 lakhs, it wasn't at all an easy task for me. But then where there is a will, there is a way. So with the support of the principal of IP College, I got that, and some sponsors, the chief minister. So yeah.
Right. Thanks very much, and all the very best. I'm sure there'll be other peaks to climb in the years ahead. And we were speaking earlier about the kind of options that some of us would have perhaps pursued if we didn't have the kind of demands or some of the questions to answer. You were telling me earlier about, for instance, the social sector. That might be appealing to some, working for an NGO. But it's not only about where your interest lies, is it?
Yeah, it's never about where our interest lies. It's always about, in India, I think there's a great deal of thing about our parents, what our society wants. One of my friends, she got into one of the prestigious NGOs, but her parents, they didn't want her to pursue that. They want her to go to masters and do all those stuff, take a standard, appropriate career line, and that's it. But somehow they don't understand that NGOs is just not about working for the social service sector. It's also about our interests. It's not only about if you're talking about money, then there is money in that also.
But perhaps they would say not as much, or
it's basically their ideologies which hamper children like us who want to pursue that dream. Like in US or in UK, when we try to apply for masters, they have this special requirement where they ask that, have you been engaging yourself in social services?
Right.
So if social service,
sort of putting it as a prerequisite there, and they're not willing to encourage anyone.
Yes.
Right. So, given an option, do you think, if we didn't have these kind of impediments, of course, Indian society would have been very different. There would be all those youngsters who would have taken that step forward and said, yes, I'm going to be involved, even if it's for a few years, or even if it's alongside whatever else I do. But we rarely see that kind of involvement.
Yeah, we don't, because again, as she said, that the factor of how much will you be able to earn of that job comes in, and parents, I don't think, can ever be okay with you barely earning something, because they think that that's now how you sustain a life. And but my alternate career had always been dancing, and I do teach little kids contemporary dance in my class where I'm learning myself. So I sort of made peace with that, because now when I got into this course BMMC, I find that my passion lies more here. So
right.
That way.
So it's sort of all worked out for you, yeah.
We see a lot of apprehensions regarding the kind of money, the kind of returns we'll get from a particular job. What I also feel is when we are taking any kind of alternate careers, be it going into social service, going into performing arts, I belong to a theatre background. What my parents feel, it's not about the money, it's more about the stability as well. Where do you see yourself 10 years down the line? If I'm into theatre, I'm struggling, even 10 years, even if I'm earning from it, but I don't know if my earning is constant, if I'm getting two
There's
shows
going to be a regular
today,
income coming in.
it will,
Can you look after yourself, let
obviously,
alone,
so you don't know what might happen
dependence.
tomorrow in careers like this.
Right. So is that enough to sort of put students off as well, do you think?
I don't think so, because nowadays with the kind of exposure all of us have and with the kind of enthusiasm we have, we know how to make our ways through. So even if we know that probably we're not stable, the kind of money that we are getting is not sufficient, but we know how to make our way through. Till the time we're happy in doing what we are, we will even go ahead with a little income as well. So.
The thing in Indian households, especially I belong to a Kashmiri family where everyone is a scientist or an engineer or a doctor, and nobody believes that journalism can even be a career for a person. So it was sort of an alternate career for me choosing this, and it takes a lot of convincing to make them understand that actually this can be a career. But still, in these kinds of fields that are emerging, there's still that there's no surety that you will be sustaining yourself 10 years down the line. So I agree with Darshana.
Yeah, it's not a sort of, it's not like taking that civil services exam where, eventually there is a sarkari naukri waiting for you at the end of the day. Yes.
Very surprisingly, my parents' take has been very different as compared to the normal stereotypical Indian families. I landed up in literature because of my parents. My father's a
that's
doctor.
unusual, yes.
Yeah, my father's a doctor, and right from age of 8, the relatives, people around me had indoctrinated me with the fact that you have to go for medicine, and I had made up my mind till class 10th. But the drastic change that came into my life was when I was filling in my form for 10th. It was my dad who made me change my stream. He was like, you'll go for humanities, because 3 years back, he'd seen me composing poetry. So he knew that I had that bend of mind.
I see, and he recognized
So yeah, he
that,
recognized it. And I used to have constant tips with him over the years. No, I won't go for it, because I somehow had at the back of this mind that I used to somehow belittle literature as compared to science, because that was the more hinged on options like engineering, medicine. It was my dad, my parents who showed me the right way. So in this perspective, my parents have been really supportive, and they've really showed me the light. So their take has been really surprisingly different compared to the other Indian families. So I'm really thankful.
Right. That's of course, families seem to be playing, have always in fact played the most crucial role. You just derive all your strength from them. So if they're backing you, that's of course a huge shot in the arm. But of course there are all sorts of professions there, and students moving from one to the other. Aaj kuch kar rahe, that's no guarantee that next year they'll also be doing the same thing. They'll do something completely different. So options to bahut zyada ho gaye. So there's a lot of options. Is that your experience too?
Alternate careers are more out of hobby and interest. So, say if we are from mass communication field, I am associated with many short-term courses, and there a person aging 55 years comes and he said that I want to learn a camera. It just benefit me in my profession. Second thing is that people are more out of fear. Ki in case I am not successful in my
I should have a plan B.
conventional
Like
career, I should have a
something
plan
else,
B ready.
Right. And is there something else that you perhaps would have done or would like to do or would like to do differently?
Right now, I plan to do my masters only, because I'm not sure the careers which I want to do. But yeah, maybe 10 years, 20 years down the line, when I have enough money, I plan to open a book cafe. So
I
it can be
see.
different. So apart from my career which I am doing,
I'll tell you
this
something
is the
about a
second
book
thing which I
cafe.
want
I've
to
been
do.
told that some 90% of the people worldwide dream of opening a little cafe shop come bookshop. Like apparently it's like a
So
it's a dream, it's a
like-
global
it's
dream.
like what I want to do with
Yeah,
my career happening.
yeah.
So side by side, I want to do this
Right.
also.
But of course there are so many challenges along the way. Here you are making all those plans, but of course very often life just takes you along a different path. Do you believe that students today are sort of more prepared and sort of ready with a plan B and ready with a what if? That's okay, I will have a plan B, because that wasn't the case some years ago. But now they're sort of smarter, they're more with it. They know that the economy has a big role to play, so I may be in a job, I may not be in it, I may be in it and I might lose it. So I'm going to have a plan B.
Yeah, definitely. And as far as I am concerned, I have already made a plan B. I mean, my parents always wanted me to crack the civil services examination, and somewhere even I wanted to do it because it's the only dream that I have in my life.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That passionate, huh?
Yeah. But at the same time, we just cannot be always utopian. We need to be practical, and you know, and for that reason, we should always have a plan B, a backup plan ready for us. So yes, I have planned, if in case I don't get through the civil services, then I would try for the SSCs and the various other opportunities that are
Right.
open for me.
So you're not really placing all your eggs in one basket. You're saying,
Yeah.
great if I get it.
Yeah,
But
great
if I don't, that's
then
okay.
I should have
There is
something.
Let's hear. I need to hear what your plan B would be.
Yeah, definitely. You know, for every history or what should I say, humanities students have a definite aim of civil services. So definitely, I'll also go for that. But if I don't get that, I'll be continuing with my studies, my MPhil and my PhD, and then finally getting into teaching sector. I have no other option. But one alternate career choice, which I would always like to have, is being a cook. I always wanted to be a
But
cook.
professionally, or just
Just an interest.
just an interest.
Yeah. But if there were no societal pressure and all those
Then-
things and no boundaries, I would
Yeah.
have gone for it. The hotel management thing.
Yeah,
I
you
would
think?
have gone for
You
it.
think maybe actually, come to think of it, maybe culinary is something I would have liked to go into, but I don't know. It just crossed my mind now. Is she showing the right sparks? Yeah, she is showing the right sparks. Okay, I'm going to let you get a quick word in before we slip into a break on what you're doing, what you would rather do. Is there something else that you'd rather do?
During my course years, during college, I always wanted to learn Spanish but never got the time to. So if I don't crack my masters and everything, I would really love to learn Spanish, take out time for it. And yeah, I would like to be a tour manager, roam around the city and show people the culture that we have. So yeah, that's my
Right.
plan B.
That sounds very promising. Well, you've given us a whole host of options which we didn't really think were possible. We're taking a quick break now, but back with more on what this very bright bunch expects from life and the plan Bs that they have, perhaps even plan C. So what if the first two don't work out? Back right after this.